welcome to the Success Club. Now at chapter 26 from Selling Things by Orson Swett Martin. Check out my newskin.nl website. Awesome, very high quality health and beauty products. Chapter 26. Are you a good mixer? Charm of personality is a divine gift that sways the strongest characters and sometimes even controls the destinies of nations. The art of the salesman is akin to that of the orator. Both seek the mastery of the mind, the sympathy of the soul, the compulsion of the heart. Personal magnetism in a man corresponds to charm in a woman. An attractive, pleasing personality makes a striking first impression. Getting what you want from kings or statesmen, the Blowitz said, is all a matter of dining with the right people. Through the power of his charming presence, his gracious manner, his famous journalist accomplished greater things at the dinner table, in the drawing room or ballroom than any other newspaperman in Europe accomplished through letters of introduction, influence, and special pulls. His popularity, his power to interest and please others, was his strongest asset. The ability of Charles M. Schwab to make friends, his strong social qualities, his faculty for entertaining, for making himself agreeable, played a powerful part in his rapid advancement from a $1-a-day job to the position of a millionaire steel manufacturer. It was his social qualities which first drew Mr. Carnegie so strongly to him. During the Homestead troubles, according to reports, young Schwab used to cheer Mr. Carnegie with humorous stories and the singing of Scottish ballads, and the ironmaster was always in better spirits after a visit from the young man. There is no other thing in such universal demand everywhere, in social life and in business, as the power to attract and please. A magnetic personality often commands a much bigger salary than a great ability with a disagreeable personality. I have in mind a young businessman with such a captivating manner, with such power to interest and please, that there are many firms in this country which would pay him a fabulous salary for his services. We all like to do business with people who attract us. If we could analyze Cracker Jack salesmen in this country, we should find that there are men who have a fine magnetic personality. They are great mixers. They understand human nature. They are usually men of broad sympathies, are large-hearted and of magnanimous nature. Diamond Jim Brady James Buchanan, he was christened as a shining example of the ultimate salesman. Mr. Brady has advanced himself to the position of selling rolling stock and supplies to railroads, and occasionally he sells entire railroads, making enormous fees as broker. He is perhaps a personification of personality, and as a mixer he has no peer. His name is synonymous with good fellow, and his list of acquaintances is said to be as large as that of any other one man in New York. There is something about one's personality which eludes the photographer, which the painter cannot reproduce, which the sculptor cannot chisel. This subtle something which everyone feels but which no one can describe, which no biographer ever put down in a book, has a great deal to do with one's success in life. It is this indescribable quality which some persons have in a remarkable degree, which sets an audience wild at the mention of the name of a Lincoln or a Blaine, which makes people applaud beyond the bounds of enthusiasm. It was this peculiar atmosphere which made Clay the idol of his constituents. Although perhaps Calhoun was a greater man, he never aroused any such enthusiasm as the mill boy of the slashes. Webster and Summer were great men, but they did not arouse a tit of the spontaneous enthusiasm evoked by men like Blaine and Clay. A historian says that in measuring Kossuth's influence over the masses, we must first reckon with the orator's physical bulk, and then carry the measuring line above his atmosphere. If we had discernment fine enough and tests delicate enough, we could not only measure the personal atmosphere of individuals, but could make more accurate estimates concerning the future possibilities of schoolmates and young friends. We are often misled as to the position they are going to occupy from the fact that we are apt to take account merely of their ability, and do not reckon this personal atmosphere or magnetic power as a part of their success capital. Yet this individual atmosphere has quite as much to do with one's advancement as brain power or education. Indeed, we constantly see men of mediocre ability but with fine personal presence being rapidly advanced over the heads of those who are infinitely their superiors in mental endowments. Walt Whitman used to say that a man is not all included between his hat and his boots. This is but another way of putting the fact, proved by science, that our personality extends beyond our bodies. It is not who we are, how we are dressed or how we look, whether we are homely or handsome, educated or uneducated, so much as what we are that creates that subtle, mysterious atmosphere of personality which either draws people to us or drives them from us. If you are exclusive, if you always want to keep by yourself and read even though it be for self-improvement, if you love to get in a seat by yourself when you travel, if you shrink from mixing or getting acquainted with others on the road or in the hotel lobbies, if people bore or irritate instead of interest you, you will never make a great salesman. You must be a good mixer, a good fellow, in the highest sense of the word, not a dissipator. You must be popular because of your lovable human qualities, or you will not have the peculiar drawing power which invites confidence and attracts business. No matter what other excellent qualities he may possess, the exclusive man is rarely, if ever, magnetic. He doesn't draw people to him. On the contrary, he keeps them at a distance. I know of an exclusive salesman of this sort who, for lack of his drawing quality, is making a very poor showing in his business. Although a splendid fellow in many respects, a man of high ideals and sterling honesty, he is not popular because he has never learned to be a mixer, never learned to be a good fellow, to approach people with a smile and a cheery greeting, to hold out the glad hand of fellowship. When he registers in a hotel, even if he has been there many times, he just bows to the clerk, secures his room and retires to it at once. He loves books, is quite a student, but he does not care to be with people any more than he can help. The other traveling salesmen do not like him. His distant, dignified personality repels them. In a word, his exclusiveness and his lack of magnetism have largely strangled his effectiveness as a salesman. It takes warm human qualities to make a good salesman. You cannot sell things by the use of mere cold technique, however perfect. You must establish sympathetic, wireless connection with the prospect's mind by making him feel that you are not only very much of a man to start with, but that you have a lot of human sympathy and are really anxious to serve him, to put a good thing in his way. Some salesmen have no more real sympathy for their prospect than they would have for a Hindu image. Their voices carry no more sympathy, no more real human feeling than a talking machine. The house that employs them might as well send out phonographs to repeat their mechanical salesman story. They may hold customers who know that the firm they represent has an excellent reputation, but they have no power to attract new ones. There is no other factor which enters so largely into success in business, in social and in professional life as does personality. There is nothing else which has such an influence in our dealings with others. It is one of the salesman's greatest assets. It will make all the difference in the world to him whether he is sociable, magnetic, with an attractive, agreeable, cheerful temperament, or whether he is grouchy, cranky, disagreeable, and arouses antagonism in those with whom he deals. It is not always the man of the greatest ability, the greatest mental power, by any means, who makes the great salesman. A man may be a mental giant, he may have a Websterian brain and yet be a pygmy of a salesman. A pleasing, attractive personality is a tremendous drawing power. It has the same advantage a sweet, beautiful girl has when you first meet her. The girl doesn't have to try to make a good impression. Her personality, her charm, her grace do this without any effort on her part. I have heard merchants say they looked forward with keen pleasure to the coming of a certain salesman because he was such a good fellow. He was so sociable, cheery and agreeable. It is a very difficult thing to resist that magnetic charm of personality, which has swayed judges and juries from justice and has even changed the destinies of nations. We have not the heart to deny or refuse to say no to the man or woman who grips us with the impalpable force of a magnetic personality. When logic and argument fail, when genius says impossible, when pluck and persistency give up, when influence has done its best and quits, when all the mental qualities have tried in vain, the subtle something which we call personal magnetism steps in and without apparent effort wins. It makes a tremendous difference whether you bring a personality to your prospect which makes a striking, pleasing first impression, or whether you bring a cold, clammy, unenthusiastic, unresponsive nature, which makes an indifferent or an unfavorable impression, one that you must endeavor to overcome, with a lot of long, tedious arguments. It is the personal element which makes the chief difference between the great salesman with a big salary and the little fellow with a little salary. The little fellow may try just as hard as the big fellow. Indeed, he may try much harder. He may have had a better training in the technique of salesmanship. But because he lacks the warm, sympathetic, human, sociable qualities, his industry and hard work are largely neutralized. I know a man who, through the force of his personality, is a colossal power in attracting business. Men follow him, are attracted to him, just as needles are attracted to a magnet. They can't very well help dealing with him. He gets such a magnetic grip upon them. He does not need to make a very strong appeal. His personality speaks for him. Phillips Brooks had such a personality. Strangers who passed him on the street felt his power so such as a degree that they would turn and look after him. In his presence, none could resist the pull of his magnetism, of his most wonderful personality. I was once a member of his Sunday school class in Trinity Church, Boston, and everyone in the class instinctively felt from the first that he was in the presence of a superb specimen of humanity. He had such tremendous magnetic power that when he wanted money for any charitable or philanthropic purpose, he did not have to beg for it. He merely suggested the need of it, and the closest pocketbooks would fly open. Everybody believed in Phillips Brooks because of the power of his superb character, the magnetism of his remarkable personality. Emerson says, "What you are speaks so loudly that I cannot hear what you say. We cannot conceal what we are, how we feel, because we radiate our atmosphere, our personality, and this is cold or warm. attractive or repellent, according to our dominant traits and qualities. A person who is selfish, always thinking of himself and looking out for his own advantage, who is cold, unsympathetic, greedy, cannot radiate a warm, mellow atmosphere, because one's atmosphere is a composite and takes on the flavor of all of one's qualities. If selfishness, indifference, avarice, and greed are dominant in one's nature, this is the kind of an atmosphere he will radiate, and it will repel because these qualities we instinctively detest. The qualities that attract are outflowing, buoyant. The qualities that repel are inflowing. That is, people who have no magnetism are self-centered. They think too much about themselves. They do not give out enough. They are always after something, absorbing, receiving some benefit, trying to get some advantage for themselves. They lack sympathy, lack cordiality, good fellowship. They are bad mixers. Some people are naturally magnetic, but when you analyze their character, you will find they possess certain qualities which we all instinctively admire. The qualities which attract every human being, such as generosity, magnanimity, cordiality, broad sympathies, large views of life, helpfulness, optimism. There is not one of these qualities that the salesman cannot cultivate and strengthen a great deal. If he does so, he will get a hearing where others have thrown back at them the fatal words, "No time to see you today, very busy." Many upright, honorable young men with political aspirations have been thwarted in their election campaign because they did not know how to make themselves popular. Splendid young men striving for political honors are constantly being beaten by men much their inferior in many respects, and this not because of craft or pull on their opponent's side, but because the latter are good mixers. They know how to meet people, how to be good fellows, how to mix with others. In short, they know how to make themselves popular. We all know what a great demand there is in every line of business for traveling salesmen who are good mixers. Men who have a genius for interesting, attracting, and holding customers. Whatever your business, your reputation and your success will depend in a great degree upon the quality of the impression you make upon others. It means everything, therefore, to young men and to young women also, to develop a magnetic, forceful personality. This is not a very difficult thing to do. Everyone can cultivate the ability to please and the strength of character that will make them or make him feel or will make him felt as a real force in the world. Knowing the qualities and characteristics that distinguish the magnetic and the unmagnetic, it is comparatively easy for us to cultivate the one and to eliminate the other. That is, we can cultivate the generous, magnanimous, cheerful, helpful mental qualities and crush their opposites. And in proportion as we do this, we shall find ourselves becoming more interested in others, and they in turn becoming more interested in us. We shall find ourselves more welcome wherever we go, more sought after. We shall attract people to us more and more, as we make ourselves personal magnets by fashioning our aura of the kindly thoughts and words and deeds that day by day go to making of a rich, magnetic personality. In other words, if you cultivate the qualities which you admire so much in others, the very qualities which attract you, you will become attractive to others. Just in proportion as you become imbued with those qualities so that they shall characterize you, will you acquire a magnetic, attractive personality. A good education is a great advantage to a man or a woman, but most of us put too great emphasis upon education, upon mental equipment and training. We seem to think that this is everything, but our personal atmosphere may have more to do with our success in life, more to do with determining our place in the world, our social or business advancement, our standing in our community than our mere mental equipment. The first step toward making yourself magnetic is to build up your health. A vigorous health, coupled with a right mental attitude. An optimistic, hopeful, cheerful, happy mind will increase your magnetism wonderfully. A person having robust health radiates an atmosphere of strength, a suggestion of vigor and courage, while one who lacks vitality drains from others instead of giving to them. Physical force and abounding joyousness of health help to create a magnetic, forceful personality. The man with a buoyant, alert mind, with a sparkle in his eye and elasticity in his step. The man who is bubbling over with abundant physical vitality has a tremendous advantage over those who are devitalized and are weak physically. To be magnetic, you must face life in the right way. Pessimism, selfishness, a sore disposition, lack of sympathy and enthusiasm, all of these tend to destroy personal magnetism. It is a hopeful, optimistic, sunny, sane, large-hearted person who radiates the kind of personal magnetism we all admire. The kind that commands attention, that attracts and holds all sorts of people. Above all, if you want to have a magnetic, attractive personality, cultivate the hard qualities. Intellect, brain power has little, if anything, to do with personal magnetism. It is the lovable, not the intellectual qualities that draw and hold people. You must make people feel your sympathy. Feel that they have met a real man or a real woman. Don't greet people with a stiff, conventional, "How do you do?" or "Glad to meet you," without any feeling, any sentiment in it. Be a good mixer and adapt yourself to different dispositions. Look every person you meet squarely in the eye and make him feel your personality. Give him a glad hand with a smile and give him a glad hand with a smile and a kind word which will make him remember that he has come in contact with a real force, which will make him glad to meet you again. If you would be popular, you must cultivate cordiality. You must fling the door of your heart wide open, and not as many do, just leave it ajar a little, as much as to say to people you meet, "You may peep in a bit, but you cannot come in until I know whether you will be a desirable acquaintance." A great many people are stingy of their cordiality. They seem to reserve it for some special occasion or for intimate friends. They think it is too precious to give out to everybody. Do not be afraid to open your heart. Fling the door wide open. Get rid of all reserve. Do not meet a person as though you were afraid of making a mistake and doing what you would be glad to recall. You'll be surprised to see what this warm, glad handshake and cordial greeting will do in creating a bond of goodwill between you and the person you meet. He will say to himself, "Well, there is really an interesting personality. I want to know more about this lady or gentleman. This is an unusual greeting. This person sees something in me, evidently, which most people do not see." Some people give you a shudder, and you feel cold chills creep over you when they shake or when they take hold of your hand. There is no warmth in their grasp, no generosity, no friendliness, no real interest in you. It is a cold-blooded proceeding, and you can imagine you hear one of these chilling individuals say to himself, "Well, what is there in this person for me? Can he send me clients, patients, or customers? If he does not possess money, has he influence or a pull with the influential people, or Can he help or interest me in any way? If not, I cannot afford to bother with him. Cultivate the habit of being cordial, of meeting people with a warm, sincere greeting, with an open heart. It will do wonders for you. You will find that the stiffness, diffidence, and indifference, the cold lack of interest in everybody which now so troubles you, will disappear. People will see that you really take an interest in them, that you really want to know, please, and interest them. The practice of cordiality will revolutionize your social power. You will develop attractive qualities which you never before dreamt you possess. If you cultivate a magnetic personality, you will increase your sales and lessen your work, besides getting a lot more enjoyment out of life than you otherwise would. Remember, customers are drawn, not pushed. Trade today is largely a question of attraction, and the salesman who is the most magnetic, who has the most affable manners, who is a good mixer, will attract the largest amount of orders. That was chapter 26. Next video will be chapter 27. Character is capital. It's a really good one. Well, see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Check out mynewskin.nl. Awesome website, great products, high quality, good for your health, and will make you beautiful.